Hi, Joanna. It's a huge pleasure to have you here on the English for Sleep podcast. Today, we're diving into something truly brilliant and vital for our future: solar energy. Our goal is to make this topic so clear that anyone, even a 10-year-old, can understand its magic. Welcome to the show, Joanna.
Thank you, Sam. It's wonderful to be here. Solar energy is such a captivating subject, and I'm thrilled to break it down into simple, easy-to-understand terms for our amazing listeners. It really holds so much promise for our planet and future generations. So making it accessible is a fantastic aim. Let's get started.
Absolutely. So let's kick off with the very basics. When we talk about solar energy, what precisely are we referring to? Is it just about those big, shiny panels we sometimes spot on rooftops? Or is there a much broader concept behind it? Could you give us a really simple explanation to start?
Good question, Sam. At its very core, solar energy is simply power that comes directly from the sun. Imagine the sun as an enormous, everlasting power station, billions of miles away in space. We use clever devices like those panels you see to capture the sunlight and transform it into either electricity or heat. It's like having a special, very efficient net for sunshine.
That's a perfect way to describe it, a special net for sunshine. So how do these special panels, which we often call solar panels, actually function? Do they just magically turn light into power, or is there a smart scientific trick happening inside them? What's the hidden secret behind their incredible ability to generate electricity?
It's definitely a clever trick, but no magic involved. Solar panels are made of many tiny pieces called photovoltaic cells, or simply PV cells. The word photo means light, and voltaic refers to electricity. When sunlight hits these cells, it pushes tiny particles called electrons into motion. This continuous movement of electrons is exactly what we call electricity. Think of it as a mini, light-powered roller coaster for these tiny particles.
A light-powered roller coaster. I love that image. So once these little electrons are happily moving and we have this electricity, where does it go next? Does it zip straight into our homes, or is there some kind of special route it follows? What's the journey from the panel all the way to, say, turning on a light bulb in your living room?
Right. It doesn't just instantly zap into your light bulb. The electricity coming straight from the solar panels is usually DC electricity, direct current, which is similar to the power you get from a battery. But most of our homes and appliances use AC electricity, alternating current, which is what comes out of your wall sockets. So, the solar electricity first passes through a special electronic box called an inverter. This inverter's job is to change the DC power into AC power, making it perfectly ready and safe for your home to use.
So the inverter acts like a brilliant translator, converting the sun's raw power language into the common power language our homes understand. That makes perfect sense. Now, once it's converted, what happens if your solar panels produce more electricity than your house needs at that very moment? Does that extra power simply get wasted, or can you save it for later, perhaps for use during the night?
That's where the system gets really intelligent. If your solar panels generate more electricity than you're currently consuming, that surplus power can go to a few different places. A very common method is to send that extra electricity back to the main electricity grid, which is like a giant network of power lines connecting everyone. In many places, your local electric company might even give you credits for the power you contribute back to the grid, which helps lower your future bills.
Oh, so you can actually save money or even earn credits by making more electricity than you consume. That sounds like a fantastic arrangement. What about storing that power right at your house? Are there practical ways to keep that extra sunny power for when the sun isn't shining, like after sunset or on very cloudy, rainy days?
Yes, absolutely. Many homeowners are choosing to add batteries to their solar energy system. These batteries are like large rechargeable power banks, specifically designed for your entire house. When your solar panels generate extra power, it automatically flows into and charges these batteries. Then, when the sun goes down, or if it's a dark, cloudy day, your house can seamlessly use the power stored in those batteries instead of needing to pull electricity from the main public grid.
Batteries for the house? That sounds incredibly empowering. It suggests you could potentially become completely independent from the main public electricity grid, right? Is that what people mean when they talk about living off-grid, relying solely on solar power combined with battery storage? What are the key benefits of choosing to live off-grid?
Exactly, Sam. Being off-grid means your home is not connected to any public electricity company or their power lines at all. You become entirely self-sufficient, relying completely on your own power sources, which are typically solar panels linked to a large, robust battery bank. The primary benefit is absolute energy independence. You're completely unaffected by grid power outages, and you receive no monthly electricity bills from a utility company. It offers tremendous freedom and resilience.
That kind of freedom sounds truly amazing, especially in regions where power outages or unreliable electricity supply are common. Beyond individual homes, where else is solar energy being effectively utilized today? Are there larger projects or different innovative ways we're seeing solar power making a significant impact around the globe, not just on residential rooftops?
Oh, most definitely. Solar energy is being employed in countless innovative ways. We see massive solar farms spanning acres of land, covered with thousands of panels, generating enough electricity to power entire towns or even small cities. It's also used to power streetlights, crucial road signs, emergency call boxes, and even sophisticated satellites in space. On a smaller scale, tiny solar chargers can power mobile phones, flashlights, or small radios, which is incredibly useful in remote areas without any traditional electricity infrastructure.
Powering satellites in space. That's utterly incredible. It truly highlights how incredibly versatile this technology is, adaptable to so many different environments. Now, looking towards the future, what are some of the most significant advantages of choosing to use solar energy compared to traditional methods like burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, or natural gas to generate electricity? Why is it universally considered such a clean energy source?
The biggest and most crucial advantage is that it's inherently clean and renewable. Renewable means the sun, our ultimate energy source, will continue to shine for billions of years, so we will never, ever run out of this energy. Crucially, unlike burning coal, gas, or oil, solar panels do not release any harmful gases, like carbon dioxide or air pollution, into the atmosphere. These pollutants contribute to climate change and make the air dirty. So using solar power is much, much kinder to our Earth and its environment.
So, it's incredibly beneficial for the planet because it doesn't pollute and its source is practically endless. That's a truly powerful and sustainable combination. But are there any downsides or challenges associated with solar energy that we, as listeners, should be aware of? What are some of the factors that can make it tricky or limit its use in certain situations?
One primary challenge is that solar panels, naturally, only generate electricity when the sun is shining. This means at night, or on very heavily overcast or rainy days, their power production significantly decreases. That's precisely why batteries or a reliable connection to the main grid are so important for consistent power supply. Also, building very large solar farms requires a substantial amount of land, and the process of manufacturing the panels themselves does consume some energy and raw materials.
That makes perfect sense. The sun isn't always out, right? But the continuous and rapid improvements in battery technology must be playing a huge role in overcoming that intermittent power problem. What about the initial cost? Is solar energy becoming more genuinely affordable for average families and small businesses, or is it still largely seen as a very expensive upfront investment for most people?
That's where we have some fantastic news, Sam. The upfront cost of installing solar panels has actually fallen dramatically over the past decade or so. It used to be considered a luxury, very expensive, but now it's much more accessible and affordable for a wider range of people. Many governments and local communities also offer special financial programs, tax credits, or rebates to help offset the initial cost, making it an increasingly popular and very smart long-term investment from many homeowners and businesses.
That's absolutely fantastic to hear. Lower costs mean that more and more people can access and benefit from this incredibly clean energy source. Looking ahead, what do you envision as the next big leaps or exciting innovations in solar technology? Are scientists actively working on brand new types of panels, or perhaps developing revolutionary ways to make them even more efficient and versatile?
Absolutely. The research and development in this field are always advancing at a rapid pace. Scientists are relentlessly working on making solar panels even more efficient, meaning they can convert a higher percentage of sunlight into electricity from a smaller surface area. They're also developing incredibly flexible solar cells that could be seamlessly integrated into building windows, laminated onto clothing, or even quite literally painted onto surfaces. Imagine solar paint that generates power.
Solar paint? That honestly sounds like something straight out of a futuristic science fiction movie. So, in the not-too-distant future, our homes might literally be painted with solar energy, generating power without needing any traditional bulky panels. That's an incredibly exciting thought. What about solar energy's crucial role in helping countries or communities that currently have very limited or no access to electricity at all?
That's a profoundly impactful area where solar energy is already making an enormous difference. In many remote or rural areas, particularly in developing countries, extending traditional power lines is exceptionally difficult and prohibitively expensive. In these places, small, portable solar kits and localized microgrids can instantly bring essential light and power for charging mobile phones, operating small businesses, running life-saving medical clinics, or even powering entire schools, fundamentally transforming lives and creating new opportunities.
So it's truly not just about the wealthy countries or individual rich people. It's a democratic technology that can bring light, communication, and progress to literally anyone, anywhere on Earth, regardless of their current location or economic status. That's genuinely impactful and inspiring. What's one simple, concrete action our listeners, even children, can take right now to support solar energy or simply learn a bit more about it?
A super simple and powerful action is to simply learn more. Watch engaging documentaries, read simple articles online, or even try playing with the small solar-powered toy. The more you understand how this incredible technology works, the better equipped you'll be to talk about it and become a strong advocate for clean energy. You can also talk to your parents about simple energy-saving habits at home, which directly reduces the overall amount of electricity you need, making solar even more effective.
That's a fantastic and actionable tip. Learning is always the crucial first step towards meaningful change. And indeed, every little bit of energy saving genuinely helps our planet. It truly seems like solar energy isn't just a fleeting trend. It's a fundamental, necessary shift in how we power our modern world, moving towards a sustainable future. It's clean, incredibly abundant, and becoming more accessible every single day.
Precisely, Sam. It's an absolutely key component of building a truly sustainable and thriving future for everyone. Every single ray of sunshine that reaches our planet is a golden opportunity for clean, renewable energy. The more we collectively understand and embrace its power, the brighter and healthier our global future will undoubtedly be. It genuinely fills me with a lot of hope for generations to come.
Hey, Joanna. It's awesome to have you back here on the English for Sleep podcast. Today, we're talking about something super breezy and powerful: wind energy. We're going to explore how we can turn wind into electricity, making sure everyone, even little adventurers, can easily understand. Ready to catch some wind?
Hey, Sam. So excited to be here and chat about wind energy. It's like magic, isn't it? Taking something invisible like wind and turning it into power for our homes? I hope our listeners are ready for a windy adventure. Let's get our turbine spinning.
What is wind energy anyway?
Well, Sam, wind energy is simply power that comes from the wind. Imagine the wind as a giant invisible river of air. We build special machines like those huge spinning fans you mentioned, called wind turbines, to catch that moving air. These turbines then turn the wind's power into clean electricity for us to use.
So it's like a giant invisible river that we can tap into. That's a cool way to put it. How do these huge wind turbines actually work? Do they just spin around and poof, electricity appears? Or is there a clever science trick happening inside their tall towers?
It's a clever trick, but not magic. When the wind pushes the giant blades of the turbine, they start to spin. These spinning blades are connected to a long rod called a shaft inside the tall tower. This shaft turns a special machine called a generator, which is like a big electric motor in reverse. And the generator is what creates the electricity.
So, the wind pushes the blades turn a rod, and the rod spins a generator to make electricity. That's a lot of spinning parts. Where are these wind turbines usually located? Do they need a lot of space? And are some places windier than others for them to work best?
They need a lot of space, and they definitely prefer windy spots. That's why you often see them on big, open fields, on top of hills, or sometimes even offshore, meaning out in the ocean. These places usually have strong, steady winds that can keep the blades spinning consistently, making lots of power.
So, wind farms are like giant playgrounds for wind, where it can really show off its power. You mentioned offshore turbines. Are there different kinds of wind turbines, or are they all pretty much the same giant white towers with 3 blades?
There are a few different types, Sam. Most are those tall, 3-bladed ones you see, called horizontal axis turbines. But some smaller ones look more like egg beaters and are called vertical axis turbines. And the ones offshore are often much, much bigger than the ones on land because the wind out at sea is usually stronger and more constant.
So, bigger turbines for bigger winds out at sea. That makes sense. What's the main advantage of putting wind turbines offshore, even though it must be trickier to build them in the water? Is it just the stronger wind, or is there another reason?
The stronger, more consistent winds are a huge plus for offshore wind farms. Also, out in the ocean, there's generally more space and fewer people for the turbines to bother. They can be really far from homes, so noise isn't an issue. Plus, they look quite majestic out there, don't they? Like giant robots standing guard.
Giant robots standing guard. I love that image. So, wind energy sounds pretty cool. What are some of the biggest advantages of using wind energy compared to burning things like coal or gas to make electricity? Why is it considered such a clean energy source?
The biggest advantage is that it's super clean and renewable. Renewable means the wind will keep blowing for as long as the sun heats the earth, so we'll never run out of it. And unlike burning coal or gas, wind turbines don't produce any harmful gases or pollution that make the air dirty and contribute to climate change. It's a breath of fresh air for our planet.
So it's great for the planet because it doesn't pollute, and it's practically endless. That's a powerful combination. But are there any downsides or challenges with wind energy that we should know about? What makes it tricky sometimes, or what are some common concerns?
One challenge is that wind doesn't blow all the time. So, on calm days, the turbines don't make much electricity. That's why we need other power sources or big batteries to store power. Another concern can be the noise from the spinning blades, though newer turbines are much quieter. And sometimes they can be a danger to birds or bats, though steps are taken to minimize that.
So they're quiet now, but they weren't always. And protecting birds is important. What about the visual impact? Some people say wind turbines are ugly and spoil the view. What's your take on that? Are they just giant spinning art or a bit of an eyesore?
That's a hot topic, Sam. Some people see them as beautiful symbols of clean energy and a greener future, like giant, elegant windmills. Others find them intrusive and not very pretty, especially if they're close to a beloved landscape. It's a bit like different tastes in art. Some love modern sculptures, others prefer old paintings.
So beauty is in the eye of the beholder, even for wind turbines. What about the space they take up? Do those huge wind farms take up so much land that it causes problems for farming or other uses of the land? Can farms and turbines exist side by side?
Good question. While wind farms need a lot of land, the turbines themselves only take up a small part of it. The land between them can still be used for farming or grazing animals. So you often see cows happily munching grass right next to a giant spinning turbine. It's a good way to share the land.
Cows and turbines living in harmony. That's a nice image. What about the cost? Is wind energy becoming more affordable for countries and companies to build, or is it still a very expensive option compared to older ways of making electricity?
Great news on that front, Sam. The cost of building wind farms has decreased a lot over the past few years. It's now one of the cheapest ways to make new electricity. This makes it a very attractive option for many countries wanting to switch to clean energy, which is fantastic for our wallets and the planet.
That's fantastic to hear. Lower costs mean more wind power for everyone. Looking ahead, what do you see as the next big steps or innovations in wind technology? Are scientists working on new types of blades, or maybe ways to make them even more powerful or efficient?
Absolutely. The research is always advancing. Scientists are working on making blades even longer and lighter so they can catch more wind. They're also developing floating offshore turbines that aren't fixed to the seabed, so they can be placed in very deep waters. Imagine giant floating windmills far out at sea.
Floating windmills far out at sea? That sounds incredibly futuristic and cool. What about smaller uses for wind energy? Can wind power be used for things smaller than a whole city, like for just one house or a small farm?
Yes. While big turbines are for big power, you can absolutely find small wind turbines for individual homes, farms, or even boats. These might look a bit different, but they use the same basic idea to generate electricity for just one building or a small area. It's perfect for remote places that don't have power lines.
So, wind power comes in all shapes and sizes, from tiny ones for a house to giants for a city. That versatility is amazing. What's the biggest misconception or misunderstanding people have about wind energy that you'd like to clear up for our listeners?
I think a big misconception is that wind power isn't reliable because the wind doesn't always blow. While true, modern energy systems use smart ways to balance power, combining wind with solar, hydropower, and batteries. So even if the wind drops in one place, power comes from somewhere else. It's a teamwork effort.
So, it's not about wind doing everything, but about being a great team player in the clean energy mix. What about the jobs created by the wind energy industry? Is it a field where many people can find work, from building to maintaining these giant machines?
Absolutely. The wind energy industry creates thousands of jobs all over the world, from engineers who design the turbines, to construction workers who build them, to technicians who climb up and maintain them. There are so many different roles. It's a growing field, offering lots of exciting career opportunities.
That's great news, providing both clean energy and new jobs. Joanna, how important is wind energy in the bigger picture of fighting climate change? Is it just one small piece, or a really big player in the global effort to keep our planet healthy?
It's a really big player, Sam. Along with solar power, wind energy is one of the leading clean energy sources, helping us move away from burning fossil fuels. Every new wind turbine helps reduce harmful emissions and puts us closer to a healthier, cleaner planet for everyone. It's a key part of the solution.
It's a powerful key part, literally. What's one simple action our listeners, even kids, can take to support wind energy or learn more about it? How can they become little wind energy champions?
A super simple action is to learn more. Watch videos about how turbines are built, or try building a tiny wind turbine model with craft supplies. Understanding how it works makes you a better advocate for clean energy. You can also talk about it with your friends and family, sharing how amazing wind power is.
That's a great tip. Learning and sharing knowledge is the first step towards change. And every little bit of advocacy helps. It seems like wind energy isn't just a noisy giant on a hill. It's a fundamental part of our future energy system.
Precisely, Sam. It's a powerful, graceful way to harness nature's energy. The more we understand and use it, the cleaner and brighter our future will be. It gives me a lot of hope for generations to come, spinning towards a better world.
Hey, Joanna. It's awesome to have you back here on the English for Sleep podcast. Today, we're diving into something super powerful, a bit mysterious, and totally fascinating: nuclear energy. We're going to explore how tiny atoms can make huge amounts of electricity, making sure everyone, even little scientists, can easily understand. Ready for a powerful chat?
Hey, Sam. So excited to be here and chat about nuclear energy. It's like having a secret superhero power source, isn't it? Taking something super small and making enough power for whole cities. I hope our listeners are ready for an atomic adventure. Let's split some atoms. Safely, of course.
Fantastic. So, for anyone who might be new to this fascinating topic, can you tell us what exactly is nuclear energy? Is it just about really big, complicated power plants, or is the secret found in something much, much smaller? What's the main idea behind using this kind of power?
Well, Sam, nuclear energy is power that comes from the tiny, tiny centers of atoms, called the nucleus. Imagine an atom as a super tiny marble. In the middle of that marble, there's a lot of energy tucked away. We use special power plants to gently split these atoms, and when they split, they release a whole lot of heat.
So it's about splitting tiny, tiny marbles to get energy. That's a cool image. How do these nuclear power plants actually work? Do they just split atoms randomly? Or is there a clever and very controlled science trick happening inside their big buildings?
It's a very clever and very controlled trick. We use a special kind of heavy atom, usually uranium. Inside a nuclear reactor, we gently make these uranium atoms split apart. When one atom splits, it makes other atoms split too, like a tiny chain reaction. This splitting creates a lot of heat, which is the key to making electricity.
So it's a controlled chain reaction that makes heat. Now, once we have all this heat, what happens to it? Does it go straight into our homes, or is there some other step to turn that heat into electricity we can use to, say, charge our phones?
Good question. The heat made from the splitting atoms is used to boil water, turning it into super hot steam. This steam then pushes giant spinning machines called turbines, kind of like huge pinwheels. These turbines are connected to generators, which are like the engines that actually make the electricity. So heat makes steam, steam spins, and spinning makes power.
So it's like a really fancy, supersized kettle that makes electricity. You mentioned uranium. What is uranium? Is it like a special rock or a metal? And how do we get it ready to be used in a power plant?
Uranium is a special kind of metal found in rocks deep underground. It's a bit heavy and, well, a little bit glowing. To use it in a power plant, we process it into small, solid pellets, like tiny black candies. These pellets are then put into long rods, which go into the reactor. It's all very carefully handled.
So, heavy, glowing metal from rocks turned into pellets. It sounds a bit like something from a superhero movie. How much power can these tiny uranium pellets actually make compared to, say, burning a lot of coal or gas? Is it a small amount or a massive amount?
Oh, it's a massive amount. A small amount of uranium, maybe the size of your thumb, can produce as much energy as a huge train full of coal. That's why nuclear power plants don't need tons and tons of fuel. It's incredibly energy dense, meaning lots of power from very little material.
Wow, that's incredibly efficient. So, tiny bit of fuel, huge amount of power. What are some of the biggest advantages of using nuclear energy compared to, say, wind or solar power, or especially burning fossil fuels? Why is it considered such an important option?
One huge advantage is that it makes almost no air pollution. Unlike burning coal, it doesn't release gases that warm our planet or make the air dirty. Also, it can produce electricity all the time, day and night, rain or shine, unlike solar or wind. It's a very reliable power source that doesn't depend on the weather.
So, clean air and constant power no matter what the weather's doing outside. Those are really strong points. What about the space it takes up? Do nuclear power plants need a lot of land, or are they quite compact for the amount of energy they produce?
They are quite compact. A nuclear power plant can produce a huge amount of electricity from a relatively small area of land. This is a big plus compared to large solar farms or wind farms, which need a lot of space to collect energy from the sun or wind. So, you get a lot of bang for your buck in terms of land use.
That's great for places where land is precious. But Joanna, when people hear nuclear, they sometimes get worried about safety, like big explosions or radioactive waste. How safe are nuclear power plants really? And what happens to the glowing waste?
That's a very fair concern, Sam, and it's super important to talk about. Nuclear power plants are designed with many layers of safety. They have very strong walls and lots of emergency systems to prevent accidents. The waste is indeed radioactive, but it's carefully stored in special, very secure containers deep underground so it doesn't harm people or the environment. It's watched very, very closely.
So, incredibly strong buildings and careful storage for the waste. That makes sense. What about the idea of nuclear waste lasting for a very long time? Is it true that it stays dangerous for thousands of years? And how do we ensure it stays safe for so long?
Yes, some of the waste can indeed stay radioactive for a very long time, even thousands of years. That's why it's stored in those super secure, deep underground facilities in places where the geology is very stable. Scientists are always working on even better ways to store and eventually recycle it, so it never poses a danger. It's a big puzzle to solve for the future.
A long-term puzzle indeed. What about the cost of building nuclear power plants? Are they super expensive to build, even if they're efficient once they're running? Does that high upfront cost make them less attractive sometimes?
They are very expensive to build at first, Sam. Building a nuclear power plant is a huge project, like building a giant city, but for power. It takes many years and a lot of money. However, once they are built, they are quite cheap to run, and they last for a very long time, sometimes 60 years or more, making up for that big initial cost over decades.
So, a massive initial investment, but then steady, low-cost power for a very long time. That's a long-term plan. Why do you think some people are still scared or against nuclear energy, even with all these safety measures and benefits?
I think it's mostly because of past accidents like Chernobyl or Fukushima. These events were very scary, even though modern plants are designed to be much, much safer. Also, the idea of radiation can sound scary because you can't see it or feel it. So education and clear information are really important to help people understand.
That makes sense. Scary stories can stick in our minds. What about the future of nuclear energy? Are scientists working on new types of reactors that might be even safer, smaller, or produce less waste? What's next in the nuclear world?
Yes, definitely. Scientists are working on exciting new designs. There are ideas for small modular reactors, SMRs, that are much smaller, can be built faster, and are designed to be super safe. They're also exploring fusion power, which is like making a tiny sun on Earth, using an even cleaner process than current nuclear power. It's very futuristic.
Making a tiny sun on Earth. That sounds like the ultimate power source. So, nuclear energy is a vital part of the clean energy mix right now, and it's constantly getting smarter and safer. It's not going anywhere soon, it seems.
Precisely, Sam. It's a powerful tool in our fight against climate change, providing reliable, carbon-free electricity. The more we learn about it and develop even better technologies, the more it can help us power our world safely and efficiently. It's definitely a source that sparks a lot of interesting conversations.
Well, Joanna, this has been an incredibly enlightening and powerful chat. Your way of explaining complex science in such simple terms is fantastic. Our listeners, young and old, must have learned so much about the amazing power hidden in atoms today. Thank you for joining us on English for Sleep.
It was an absolute pleasure, Sam. Thanks for having me and for creating such a welcoming space to talk about important topics like nuclear energy. I hope our listeners feel a bit more informed and perhaps even a little less intimidated by the mighty atom now.
And that's all for today's episode of English for Sleep. We hope you enjoyed learning about nuclear energy. Sweet dreams, everyone, and may your thoughts be powerful and your future full of clean, atomic energy.
So, mighty rivers in hilly places are the best spots. That makes sense. What are some of the biggest advantages of using hydroelectric energy compared to, say, burning things like coal or gas, or even wind and solar power? Why is it considered such a clean and special energy source?
The biggest advantage is that it's super clean and renewable. Renewable means the water cycle keeps going. Rain fills the rivers, rivers flow, so we'll never run out of this energy as long as it rains. And unlike burning fossil fuels, it doesn't produce any harmful gases or pollution that make the air dirty. It's a truly natural way to make power.
So, it's great for the planet because it doesn't pollute the air, and it's practically endless because of the rain. That's a powerful combination. But are there any downsides or challenges with hydroelectric energy that we should know about? What makes it tricky sometimes? Or what are some common concerns?
One big challenge is that building a dam changes the river. It creates a huge lake, which can flood land where people live or animals have their homes. This means people might have to move, and animals might lose their habitats. Also, if there's a drought, not enough rain, the lake might not have enough water to make power.
So, it helps with clean energy, but it can change the landscape and affect living things. That's a big consideration. What about the impact on fish? Does building a dam make it hard for fish to swim upstream to lay their eggs, or does it change the river ecosystem?
So, a massive initial investment, but then steady, low-cost power for a very, very long time. That's a long-term plan. What's unique about hydroelectric power compared to solar or wind? Is that you can actually store the energy, right? How does that work?
Yes, that's a super cool feature. The water behind the dam is like a giant battery. When we need more power, we just open the gates wider and let more water rush through. When we don't need as much, we can close the gates and save the water for later. It's like having a giant on-off switch for power.
A giant on-off switch for power. That makes it incredibly flexible. So when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing, hydroelectric plants can step up and provide steady power. It's like the reliable backup dancer of the clean energy world.
Exactly. They are fantastic for balancing the power grid. They can quickly increase or decrease how much electricity they make, which is super important when other renewable sources like solar or wind aren't producing much. They help keep our lights on steadily, all the time.
So, a very important team player. How important is hydroelectric energy in the bigger picture of fighting climate change around the world? Is it just one small piece or a really big player in the global effort to keep our planet healthy?
It's a really big player, Sam. Many countries around the world get a large part of their electricity from hydropower because it's clean and reliable. It helps us avoid burning fossil fuels, which reduces harmful gases that warm our planet. It's a key part of the solution, helping us build a cleaner, greener future.
It's a powerful key part, literally. What's one simple action our listeners, even kids, can take to support hydroelectric energy or learn more about it? How can they become little water power champions?
A super simple action is to learn more. Watch videos about how dams are built, or try making a tiny water wheel with craft supplies. Understanding how it works makes you a better advocate for clean energy. You can also talk about it with your friends and family, sharing how amazing water power is.
That's a great tip. Learning and sharing knowledge is the first step towards change, and every little bit of advocacy helps. It seems like hydroelectric energy isn't just about big walls, it's a fundamental part of our future energy system.